Hello and welcome, everybody. I'm so excited to be here with two of my good pro-life friends, Christine and Kongmin, and we have some exciting news for you guys. So make sure you stick around, check it out. We have something very exciting coming up that we have been working on. As you can see, we are in our own unique studios, which is part of the announcement. So remember, if you have any questions, just drop them down below. We'll have people there answering them in the chat. But we hope to answer all of your questions here on this live, so we're excited to jump into it. So I wanted to introduce you to Christine, who's going to give you a little bit more of an insight on exactly what we're doing and why we're in these cool studios.
Yeah, so Students for Life is launching 3 new shows, and we are your hosts, me, Autumn, and Kongmin. We have each a unique perspective of what we're going to bring to you and covering different topics within the pro-life movement and things relating to the pro-life movement, and we can't wait to get started. You'll be able to find us on all of our social media platforms. Maybe you guys want to join in and share your handles. I'm at Christine Jurgen, and then there's obviously at Students for Life. Autumn, you are...
You can find me at autumnhigashi.life.
Kongmin?
Oh, it's me. Oh, you can find me everywhere at the Kongmin Lee.
So yeah, you'll find all of our shows on our channels and on Students for Life, and we can't wait to bring them to you guys.
Yeah, and this is really great because we really felt like there was a need and a calling almost for people like us who maybe not conventionally what the media says. We look like they always say that the pro-life movement is just old white men trying to control women's bodies. But there's me, like a young, spry, single Korean
Christine
bachelor.
and I also aren't old white men either. I don't know what Kongmin is talking about.
Exactly. So it's not only
Kongmin's
that.
There's me. I'm here to break the whole narrative by myself.
We're just breaking the whole narrative, everything, and that's why they call me a token. But it's a really great opportunity because we really want to take back the narrative, and there's such a strong pro-abortion narrative, not only in our mainstream media but in our culture. And so, just for us who are young and hip, and we all have different things to bring to the table. And so, for me, I'm very fun, lighthearted, but also I'm very serious about the topic of abortion. So us bringing each of our personalities and our different unique experiences and our life experiences to just talk about why abortion is the single worst injustice in this country, and also how we can equip you guys through our shows and through the guests we bring on and through everything that we do on our shows to equip you guys to fight in this war that we're living in, to fight for life and to fight to abolish abortion in our generation.
Right. Yeah. So to give you a little bit of background insight on what this new show that I'm launching is, it is called Unapologetic with Autumn Higashi, powered by Students for Life of America. And the reason I chose this title as well as the theme that I'm going with is because I think many of us want to be outspoken. We want to be passionately pro-life, and there's something holding us back, whether that is fear, whether that's fear of backlash or losing friends or feeling ill-equipped for what's coming out of your mouth, right? You don't know exactly how to defend what you believe, and so as a result, you kind of retract and you hold back. And so I want to help you be unapologetic in your pro-life beliefs, to be confident, to go out into this world and say, I am pro-life, here is why, and here's how I defend that position with love, with science, and with logic. So that's what I'm hoping to bring to you. I'm hoping that I can be a resource for you to not only better understand the pro-life movement, but to better understand pro-life apologetics, the way that we have these conversations, the ways that we can hopefully change hearts, change minds, and abolish abortion. So I'm excited to really focus especially on this generation, Gen Z. I'm scrolling through TikTok and the amount of pro-abortion videos that I see on my feed is unbelievable. And what's even more alarming is they're not just there. It's what's popular. It's what's funny. It's what goes viral. And it's concerning to see so many young people so passionately and outspokenly pro-abortion. But the other side of it, which is equally sad, is the way that they're approaching it is unloving and unkind, even to women who have suffered abortion, even to women who have gone through that experience. And so I want to bring a unique perspective to say, regardless of where we stand on this, first and foremost, we need to recognize that abortion is not funny. Abortion is not something we should be joking about, and we should always be thinking how we can walk through this with love and kindness. But then also to be bold enough to say, I love you and I want to have this conversation, but I also must share truth, because I think we also have a tendency to lean too far on the kindness and love, and as a result, we're not honest about what abortion is. And so I think that we can combine the two and walk through this with passion and compassion to make sure that we are changing minds, we're having the real conversations, and hopefully, revealing the horrors of abortion so that people understand what it is. Because I think when you truly understand what abortion is, when you truly understand how to defend what you believe, you're not scared to speak out, because with knowledge comes strength and power. And so that's what I hope to be a reflection to you. I am nobody special. I don't have a unique radical story about why I'm here or, a credibility to my voice. I am simply somebody who cares about this. And if that is you, then you can also be doing the work that I am doing. So I hope we can band together. We can be pro-life best friends, and we can figure this out together. Christine, do you want to share a little bit about what your show is, maybe your own perspective, and what you hope to bring to the pro-life generation in your new show?
Yeah. So my show is going to be called Speak Out. I'm really excited. I'm going to have guests on, and what I've seen a lot of is society tries to silence pro-life voices, and we're tired of it. And I really respect people who maybe have these huge careers. Maybe they're an athlete, maybe they're a celebrity, maybe they're in the news all the time and they're famous for something, but they are still willing to speak out on the pro-life movement. And there's a lot of people doing that. And I want to bring the biggest names who are willing to be bold enough to speak about the pro-life movement and talk to you guys and share their perspective and what they've dealt with, and maybe some pushback in Hollywood or pushback, even in DC if they happen to be a politician, or, whatever it is that their career is and what they do, because they're putting a lot on the line to be able to stand up for their beliefs. And if they can do it with tons and tons to lose, we all have something to lose, but we can do it too. And I want to show that it's cool to be pro-life, truly. I mean, I know, like Autumn said, there's a lot on TikTok, and what you see is people pushing this narrative that the pro-choice movement is what's cool and hip and trendy. And while that might be a trend to them, I assure you it is not cool. Once they find out the horrors of abortion, they're going to be extremely disturbed by what they support. So I want to make sure that we show everybody, hey, all of these cool people that you look up to are actually pro-life, and they're willing to talk about it. We are cool. We are hip. We are trendy. This movement isn't just trendy. It's cool long term. It's cool permanently, because standing for life is always what's cool. So I want to bring you guys guests that maybe you haven't heard from before. I know Kristen has her podcast, which is fantastic, Explicitly Pro-Life. You guys should listen to that one too. But I want to bring maybe a little bit of a different perspective and have some guests on. And I'll be talking to you too about just topics related to the pro-life movement and going from there. So yeah.
Cool.
Kongmin,
And guys, so my name is Kongmin. It's not Kangmin. And if you call me
just
Kangmin,
to get that out there, right?
yeah. And if you call me Kangmin, it's a microaggression. I mean, I'm very offended, and so
We're having problems.
I'm gonna break down and cry. But my show is called Man Up, and so I know you're probably thinking like, wow, this guy isn't the very most manly guy out there. That's kind of like partly why I chose the title, because it's just kind of funny. Where you look at me, you're not gonna think like, wow, he's such a macho, masculine guy. But for me, it's like, it's being masculine. It's not about being like having the nicest beard. I wish I had a beard, but unfortunately I'm Asian and my ancestors ate soy, and so we don't have a lot of beard hair there. But it's not about being like super brawny and super like, yes, like I think all men should work out and be physically fit, but it's really about being strong, disciplined, and fulfilling a role as a provider and protector in society. Right now in society, we're completely rewriting what it means to be a man. And so much so that, when radical pro-abortionists say no uterus, no opinion, a lot of men men cower in fear and they're like, okay, I'm sorry. It's like, no, like this is a clear injustice. And not only does it hurt women, but it's it's literally the murder of a baby. And as men, we're called to protect women. We're called to protect children. Imagine if, the Titanic happened in 2022. Would be saying, no, get the women and children out first. We need to protect them. And they'll probably scream in your face, oh, you misogynist, don't tell us what to do. But the reality is that's what it means to be a man, to, lay down your life and lay down and like lose something. It's going to cost you something to stand up for what's right, and especially protect the most vulnerable in society, which is our children. So I just wanted to do a show where I just kind of talk about being a man and why it's okay, even if you don't have a uterus, to give more of your opinions on this issue. Because clearly I don't have a uterus, and I just will be giving more of my opinions. But not only that, but just kind of like making fun of the pro-abortion side. Because when you really, really break it down, all their arguments are completely nonsensical. They're illogical. It's the same way where most people on the pro-abortion side simultaneously can't define what a woman is. I mean, a lot of their arguments just fall flat on its face. It's just absurd. So I just want to do that, just kind of like bring some humor and satire into it, while also kind of calling men higher to a higher standard. Because for so long, I think, yes, like there's a lot of men, good men, who are working hard and providing for their families. But also you have to realize there's so many children being murdered every single day, over 2,000 of them in our own country. And as men, if we're not standing up for them, then who will? And as a man, like I don't want to just give all of that responsibility to a woman, because like we should be on the front lines fighting this battle. And for me, I've been just so encouraged and so spurred on and motivated by such strong women like we have in this call, and all the pro-life leaders that I see in this movement. It's like, why aren't men standing up? Where are the men? Where are the fathers? Like, we have to stand up. And so it's not only targeted for men, because I also want to be able to kind of like, hey, if you're a wife, if you're a girlfriend, if you're a sister and you have like a brother or a husband or a boyfriend who's silent on this issue, to be like, hey, there's this Korean dude who's not the most masculine, brawny guy, but he's speaking out. Why don't you speak out? And so that's kind of like what I'm thinking about my show, and just kind of giving you guys not only just like laughter and just be like, okay, like that's funny. I didn't think about that, and I didn't think about it in that way, but also to motivate and galvanize the men in our generation to stand up for life, because truly, I speak on a lot of issues on my YouTube channel and on my Instagram and on Twitter, but truly the most pressing issue of our generation, and even in this country's history, is the injustice and tragedy of abortion. So that's what my show is going to be about.
Nice. I thought it'd be fun for us to each kind of go through and talk about maybe either one experience or one that sticks out that you've had, like with Students for Life, on, why we're choosing to not only dive into the pro-life movement so heavily and to say, hey, like, let's all talk about this, but also let's talk about this and then let's all get plugged in with Students for Life, because, I mean, truly this organization is doing so much. There is a place for every single person in this movement. So I don't know if you want to start, Christine, on just either an event or an experience that you had with Students for Life, just to kind of share the different aspects of activism and involvement that are out there.
Yeah. So I started feeling called to the pro-life movement years and years ago, and I dragged my feet forever. And then I started speaking out on Instagram. I had a woman message me and say that she canceled her abortion appointment, which just kind of like drew me into the pro-life movement more. And from there, I was like, I want to do more. I want to help women, but I also want to get involved with other organizations who are doing the same thing. And so I looked around, obviously, on social media, because I do a lot on social media, and I found Students for Life, and they were doing a ton, and reached out to them. And eventually I went to sidewalk counseling outside of a Planned Parenthood here in Denver, Colorado. It's actually a really active Planned Parenthood. And so I met up with a bunch of people from Students for Life, and anybody was invited to come, and we were out there praying, and we had signs, saying that we would help women. And it was just so beautiful to see other people willing to help these women. give up their Saturday, give up their time, give up doing anything else that they could potentially be doing that might be more fun. I mean, it definitely can be a lot of work, and it can be emotional standing out there. But these women, or excuse me, the people who were there loved these women enough to be there and say, hey, we're here to support you. We're here to help. And seeing that Students for Life was doing that was awesome. And they do so much other boots on the ground things that we've done. Door knocking here in Denver, going and telling people about pregnancy resource centers. Students for Life was one of the only organizations I saw actually doing things on the ground, being involved, being active, aside from being just on social media. So I knew I wanted to get involved with them. And here we are, a year or two later, I'm getting involved even more. And I'm so excited to start the show. I'm so excited to continue door knocking and continue sidewalk counseling. I want to do all of it, and I don't want to lose that touch. I feel like we do need to do all the boots on the ground stuff, which I'm so grateful Students for Life does, because if we don't do that, we're going to kind of lose our touch with these women. And I think that's something that's so special when you get to interact with these women and see what they're feeling and how they feel and what they're going through. And that way we know how to truly help them.
Right. Amazing. Kangmin, you want to share how you got involved with Students for Life, or
Yeah.
a favorite memory with activism, whatever you want to share?
So everything has changed in my life in the past year and a half. I mean, it's just literally the first conservative conference I went to was the Student Action Summit in 2020 in December. So the past year and a half has just been like, whoa. And there I actually stopped by the Students for Life booth. And this is during the time where like God was really growing my heart for this issue, because he was really growing my heart for family and for children. And I was always kind of loosely pro-life my whole life, but I started to realize actually what abortion is and how much it's destroying families, hurting women, and it's actually the murder of a baby. And if it's the murder of a baby, then why wouldn't I speak out? And so I was looking for opportunities to get more involved in the pro-life movement, and then I stopped by the Students for Life booth, and I really had a good time getting to know everyone there at the booth and a lot of the staff. And then so I was like, I want to get more involved. And then so I became an ambassador a couple months later. And then my first Students for Life thing that I went to was the National Leaders Collective, the NLC in DC back in June. And I had a lot of fun because it was like, I know a lot of the times you can kind of feel like you're alone in this when you're fighting for what you believe in, because
Totally.
the truth is too many people are cowardly. I wish more people were like just had more courage to speak out on what they believe in. Like, for example, like a lot of the times when I speak out, I get a lot of private messages. Thanks for speaking out, but I could never. And it's like that still kind of makes you feel alone because in a sense, it's like they're almost propping you up to take all the bullets while they hide behind you. And it's like, at first, it might seem like they're encouraging you, but in actuality, that's almost cowardly, in my opinion. But I went to NLC and I saw all these people on the front lines. Everyone on the front lines, they're willing to risk their reputation, even their friendships, and even family relationships to stand for such a crucial issue. And I'm not saying like go out of your way to intentionally try to shove all this down people's throats and be like, like you're so evil if you support abortion, which is kind of true if you are, but at the same time, it's like we have to be loving and we have to have that tension and that balance. But I saw people on the front lines and I was so encouraged because like, wow, like I'm not alone in this. And it's very exhausting. And I think a lot of you who are on the front line speaking out and going to Planned Parenthoods and going to abortion clinics and doing sidewalk counseling and going to protest and doing all these things, it gets very tiring because a lot of the times you can feel like you're alone. But what I really appreciated about Students for Life is that we're like Students for Life, we're really boots on the ground. And we really mobilize activists and people to mobilize other people for the pro-life movement. And so at the NLC, I just saw so many people so passionate for life, so passionate to make this generation anti-abortion and abolish abortion. And it was just like everyone was so all in that I was just so encouraged, and I was just really blown away by how many people were sold out for this cause. And most of them, of course, were Christian, and because they acknowledge the sanctity of life and know that everyone's made in the image of God, that it really spurred them on even more to fight for life and fight for these babies and fight for women and even men who are hurt and affected by abortions. And so that was my first event, and I really that really like my heart for Students for Life also grew really big. Also, that was the first time I met Kristen, and she gave me a really big hug. So that was really cool too. 'Cause I was like, "Whoa, what's going on here?" But that was really nice, and she's really
Yeah.
great and very sweet.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I just like I think about Students for Life, and I think about what we're doing and how we're really affecting and changing culture and
Yeah.
affecting legislation and affecting
Yeah.
what people think and how people think about abortion. Um,
Mhm.
I really like it here, and I'm really honored to be a contributor. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, for me, it's funny because I grew up in a Christian home. I was pro-life. I didn't know much about it. I didn't really realize there was a movement. I just thought people were pro-life or people were pro-choice. I didn't realize there was boots on the ground activism to get involved in. I didn't know that there were all of these opportunities. And Students for Life was the first organization that opened that door for me and was like, here are all the things that you can do and we need your help with, because I was 16 when I got involved. And I remember, diving in. I did this video, it went viral. And then Students for Life was like, okay, are you ready to keep going? And I was like, I'm only 16. And they were like, and, they were like, that doesn't matter. Like, if
Yeah.
you're ready, we're ready. And we're ready to give you the platform. We're ready to train you. And I remember they flew me out to the March for Life in I believe it was 2018 was my first year I ever went to the March for Life, and I've been every year since. But I just remember getting out of the Uber and looking around and seeing busfuls and busfuls and busfuls of people my age. And I was like, where even am I? Like, how did I not know that this was a thing? And then you look around and half the people are holding pro-life gen signs. And I'm like, oh, that's not just a slogan. Like, we are literally the pro-life generation. There are
Yeah.
literally hundreds of thousands of us. And I just remember it almost unlocked a part of my personality I didn't even know existed. I think part of it, I was so young, I was still figuring out, like my own comfortability with my personality. But I remember they handed me a bullhorn the first time I was at the March for Life, and it was like a transformation. I would just all of a sudden was just screaming into a bullhorn, and I was like, I'm doing this. Like, this is it. I'm here. I'm ready. Nothing will stop me. And then being surrounded by people who were equally as passionate was mind-blowing to me. Like, it just removed all fear. And I went back home and I was like, I'm ready to dive in. I'm ready to get involved. I'm ready to break the ice in my own community and say, no, we need to have this conversation. Because when you're with Students for Life, it's like you just feel so equipped and ready and passionate, because everyone who's there is equally as passionate as you are. And there's something empowering of being with like-minded people, being with people who value the same things you do, and then are willing to sacrifice, the different ways. When we come to the pro-life movement, everyone is probably sacrificing in many different ways, whether it's time with their family, whether it's, from their job, whether it's, from the free time that they had that they'd probably rather be doing something fun and enjoyable with their friends. We come together and say, we are willing to make the sacrifices because this is so important. And I think I've never felt that feeling of camaraderie and unity more than when I'm with Students for Life. And the students that we have coming in, I mean, they're of all ages, all backgrounds, all religions, all viewpoints, and we're just here fighting shoulder to shoulder, and there's nothing like it. So every time I go to a Students for Life event, I'm more and more encouraged. Every year I'm at the March for Life, I think, yeah, nothing can top this feeling. Nothing can make me more excited, and then I'm there the next year, and it's even more so because you then get to see all your pro-life friends that you've connected with on social media, and you're just like, I'm not scared because I'm not alone. If I had to do this completely by myself, I probably would have curled up into a ball and quit a long time ago. But I don't have to do it alone because there's so many people who are ready to do this fight. And so I just wanted to encourage you, if you are watching this, if you are feeling like you want to get involved, you want to do something, you want to say more, but you feel like you're not ready, hopefully first you can learn from us and know that we aren't really anyone special. And if you look up to us and think, wow, I'm so proud of them, or I'm so encouraged by the work that they do, you can be doing all of this as well. You can have the same voice. You can have the same impact as all of us because we are ordinary people that said, I'm ready to just do it. I'm ready to care. I'm ready to pick up the torch and to march through this the best that I can. And so if you're wanting to get more involved, I really hope you connect with Students for Life. You can go to our website at studentsforlife.org, or if you really want to just dive in, you can email the regional coordinator in your area and say, hi, I'd like to get involved, whether that's starting a group on your high school, middle school, or college campus, whether that's getting involved with Abortion-Free Cities campaign, like Christine was mentioning, that's door knocking. Do you want to go door to door and tell people about the pregnancy resources in their community and then also educate them on the abortion facility in their community? Do you want to go outside of Planned Parenthood and pray? Do you want to do fundraisers and baby drives for women in your community? Do you want to, get involved with pro-life legislation? Literally whatever pro-life activism you want to do, I promise you there is an opportunity with Students for Life. So please, please, please join us and be in this fight with us so that we can grow the pro-life generation. We can be unapologetic. We can man up. We can speak out so that we can change this culture, so that we can change hearts and minds and hopefully save lives in the process and protect women from abortion. So we are so excited to be bringing this to you. We hope that you keep an eye out for when these shows are announced and launch. Again, they'll be on the Students for Life page as well as our personal Instagrams and Twitters, all that kind of stuff. So I hope that you are encouraged, and I hope that we are able to inspire you to get more involved because you also have a voice and a place in this movement. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Bye.
Peace.